what I'm going to say to Roy the next time.
No, you don't have to worry about me. He should be more worried than anybody else.
No, but this is once
not worry about me.
Yeah, but everybody. But
you're on about...
if you're the one who's pulling, saying, like, what's going on? Then it's not coming. Then he's finding out from someone, well, that's not coming. Then he's got to say, well, Roy's going to ask me again, and what am I going to say to him? And then his ego is now starting to.
But you know what you call these meetings?
Because you've got a player talking to the manager in a way like the manager might be thinking, I've got to show that.
But I kept my mouth shut for years, even at United. People talk about when United, Ferguson called that meeting, and Mick McCarthy called the meeting in front of the players and pulled me up. You're going, oh no, hey, no problem. You want to call a meeting up? Guess what? There's going to be fireworks, and I'm not a big lover of fireworks, as you know.
Bonfire.
So you're on about you just on about England, the girl earlier, White, going, oh, we keep everything. All right, so if we're going to have a meeting at United, let's have a meeting.
Yeah.
And you're going to set him off?
No, yeah. Listen, if someone says,
oh,
see that face coming back.
Do you remember? No, United people go, oh, let's have a get-together and discuss things. Go, yeah, happy days. You've been hiding for the last 10 years. And then what are you doing and what are you doing? People go, oh, I don't like these open chats. You called it.
Yeah. It's hard when people don't back you up.
Mick McCarthy standing going, hey, can I just pull a player up here in front of everybody? Going, yeah, fire away, Mick. This will be good. You better be ready.
Yeah.
If you want the full story, it's still available.
It's available in all goods.
We'll get back to Keano in just a quick second, but remember, if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. And don't forget to click the notification button so that you know when the next Big D video hits. And as ever, if there's something on your mind, if something is bubbling up inside of you that you need to express, please express it in the comments. The Big D reads all of the comments and he's always interested in what is on your mind. Well, Roy Keane is just the gift that keeps on giving. Whether you agree, disagree, or what, Roy Keane is always worth listening to because, let's be honest, he's a character and he likes a moan and he likes a rant and he delivers a little bit in this particular clip. Well, I mean, they're making a film about Roy Keane and Mick McCarthy and that whole Saipan situation, which is coming out soon, I imagine. So maybe that's one of the reasons why they're talking about it now. But yeah, he goes on a little bit of a moan and justification about Roy Keane's personality and why he sort of went on a little bit of a rant and he kicked off a little bit in Saipan. And yeah, true to Roy Keane form, he has his little moan. So stick around for after the clip because the Big D is going to be giving his thoughts on Roy Keane and the Saipan incident. Here's Roy.
On television, I think he's brilliant.
Yeah.
Was there a point when you're a player, it's interesting, because I look back with the World Cup and I get people, gear not turning up and you get frustrated as a player, but should a senior player be getting involved in that and bogged down by that, or should you just go, is that what a good senior player does? Might stop a little bit at United, you get frustrated with stuff, or do you back away from all that and go, that's not my gig, I'm here to play?
I think when you care, though...
In terms of getting involved and going, listen, that's unacceptable. I had issues with Mick when we first went to Saipan about the gear and stuff not turning up. But at what stage do you get involved in that, or do you go... And I always think, if you back away from it, you say nothing, that's worse than actually going, this is unacceptable, particularly when you're a senior player.
No, I agree.
Where's the line? Where do you cross that line?
When it gets to...
You're on about when you're a senior player with England, if just say the women's team, there's one or two misbehaviour, when do you kind of go into the manager and go, this is unacceptable? Or do you have to trust your manager?
Roy,
you'll deal with that.
Yeah, but Roy, with what was happening with the public, you had to say, are you going to sleep knowing that? I should have said.
Yeah, but like Neves just said about like Glenn making Teddy going to. But why? And same with me with the gear. Well, I should have been over there. Really, if I wanted, and go, football's a selfish game. You look after yourself. But that's not my gig. I'm not there to sort the gear out. So why am I getting drawn into something like that?
Because you're used to having the proper gear to perform.
So, right, are you saying, Roy, that you would do something differently now if you were living that again?
I'm saying no, I'd probably do exactly the same thing, because I think the biggest skill is when you keep your mouth shut. But where's that line where you cross, where you get drawn into a confrontation with a manager to say, this is unacceptable? Because there has to be an element.
And that's a captain's job, isn't it?
Or a senior player. Yeah. I don't think necessarily. But
you must have been captain about it.
Yeah, I would have been there. Yeah. But
so you're like looking after
United,
the other
when
players.
I fell out United, there's arguments. You're going, why am I getting involved? Is it good? Is it not? But where do you draw the line? Where you give your opinion, but then you back away. Because sometimes when you get involved in that, particularly with my temperament, once you get involved in it, there's kind of no going back. It's not going to be, listen, can we ever sit down and chat and discuss why the gear's not here? It'd be like, hold on a second, and that's where the tension comes into it. So as a senior player, where do you draw the line of, I'm getting involved in that, the gear not being here, the training facilities are a disgrace.
Roy, how did you deliver that first message to Mick McCarthy about the gear and the? Because you ought to have gone in angrily.
The first chat when we got over there, when the gear hadn't arrived, I was like, Mick, what's going on? Yeah, that was all very relaxed and casual, but then the kind of the tension then built over the next few days. And I always think when you're going down that road, even my bit at United, then there's no going back. There's no going. Once you're disappointed or you confront somebody, at the start it can be, hey, what's going on here?
So then once the gears continue to not turn up.
And then a few days and you're like, hold on a second, you said to be sorted by now. And that's where the energy levels, and that's where you don't have that different personality and go, all right, no, I'll back away from that, focus on being a player. Yeah. It's like, no, that's...
Do you regret that?
But you want everything to be right, don't you?
No, not necessarily right, but you want people to be trying to make things right.
Yeah.
It's when people go, oh, well, that's not my gig. It's like us turning up here. We'd be saying, come on, we want things done properly, not perfection.
But the thing is,
want progress. You want people to.
Them players as well. When you're saying about the gig, they want someone to say it.
But can I ask you,
I'm just saying, it's the younger players. It's the younger players who will think the same. They're looking at right to be the one to represent them.
Scholes, you make a point there about captain, whatever, but there was other lads who played loads of games the same as me, played hundreds of games, played as many.
They weren't getting involved.
And sometimes I look back and go, how can you sit there? And they're looking at me going, off you go, and you're going...
Yeah.
I couldn't sit there and go, hey, listen, all the best. Even if I was a young player when I got in the Irish squad or was at United, if I saw something I wouldn't take the lead role in it, but I certainly wouldn't be going, I'm taking a step back from it.
Roy, which of those players would have seen the standards that you would have seen?
No, I'm not even going to try and compare it to the standards I've seen, just about the standards you're trying to get to. No, everyone says to me about, when you go away with Ireland, you go away with other teams, it's not going to be the same as you know. I knew that.
But Roy, I have to say, with England, when we went away, honestly, the way in which we were treated from a point of view of the travel, the training pitches, the media centre was unbelievable.
I used to hear your stories when I used to come back with Ireland. And that was fine, but England is England, Ireland is Ireland, it's different dynamics.
We had no excuses for England in terms of how the FA set things up.
But the Irish, we do it our way, and I'm not knocking the Irish way, and that is sometimes a bit, for years, win or lose it. I got all that, I was embraced and all that, I loved that. But you also know that going, listen, come the crunch, we'll be competing.
Yeah.
But as the years went on, you're going, hold on now, the game's moved on a lot a bit in sports science, and for us to have qualified for the World Cup, it's not as if you qualified for the World Cup and it's on next week. It's not, you qualify 6 months in advance. Yeah. So to go over there, you go, I've had these frustrations anyway for a number of years about food not being right, whatever. That's another story. And then you get over and the gear's not there, and it's like, and it's a bit of and I laughed and joked for years, but then comes a point you go, Mick. But then I asked Mick, is it on Mick? Because when you go away, I bet you it wasn't on the manager to make sure the gear is there. No. There's obviously people in the background, administration, we do all that stuff.
Sometimes it's cost.
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe that would come into it a little bit.
I mean, the one thing I would say about you, Roy, is that you are, and this is absolutely why you were the player that you were and why you were the character you were zero tolerance. You were zero tolerance. No,
I don't know.
Zero in terms of standards and professionalism. You were zero tolerance. If someone was late, if someone didn't have the right boots on, if someone was, I was watching a sub get in ready last week, and I thought of you actually. I can't remember. I was in America watching the game, and there was a sub literally where he took his top off, he took his jumper off, then he put his an undertop back on, and he was taking him literally about a minute and a half, 2 minutes to get ready on that. And I was like, I just imagine if that was like you watching that, you'd be like, what? Are you doing? Make sure you're ready when you come out. You had a zero.
I did, but I'd also have a bit of like when we used to go away. But again, we always talk about the stories when we were away. And we'd be, listen, I've been there for training. We'd been on drinking sessions, and I would turn a blind eye to certain things. Yeah, but I wouldn't be. I don't think I was a geek with people being 100% right.
But I also had a bit of leeway. You were zero tolerance on standards and professionalism.
I think you probably was later on, weren't you?
Maybe, but I always thought I had a bit of leeway with lads going, hold on, lads, draw the line now. And I had that with Ireland. But there comes a tipping point with everything else where you're going, hold on a second, what's going on here? And that's the bit where I thought, there's no going back now. Or even when you're confronting somebody, you know you're going to lose. I've said this before. The only one losing is going to be me. I'm not sitting there going, I'm going to have the last laugh here. No. But there's no going back then. And I don't know if that's not a good or a bad place to be. When you're confronting somebody, you're going, there's no going back now.
Do you think Mick, though, I mean, he must have known you. He could have pulled it back as well.
Well,
so what I'm saying is, I think for me, I think there's an element sometimes where you go and there's no pulling you back.
There's no going back,
But there's a lot goes on usually before that point.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So at one point, I feel like I would know in the dressing room, and even now, when you're going to, you're not going to be happy with something.
When you're going to blow? Oh.
So for me,
Mick would probably is as frustrated about the gear not coming, but then having to worry about Okay, what I'm going to say to Roy next time.
No, you don't have to worry about me. He should be more worried than anybody else.
No, but this is not worry about me. Yeah, but everybody. But
you're on about.
If you're the one who's pulling, saying, like, what's going on? Then it's not coming. Then he's finding out from somewhere, well, that's not coming. Then he's got to say, well, Roy's going to ask me again, and what am I going to say to him? And then his ego is now starting to.
But you know what you call these meetings?
Because you've got a player talking to the manager in a way like the manager might be thinking, I've got to show that.
But I kept my mouth shut for years, even at United. People talk about when United, Ferguson called that meeting, and Mick McCarthy called the meeting in front of the players and pulled me up. You're going, oh no, hey, no problem. You want to call a meeting up? Guess what? There's going to be fireworks, and I'm not a big lover of fireworks, as you know.
Bonfire.
So you're on about you just on about England, the girl earlier, White, going, oh, we keep everything. All right, so if we're going to have a meeting at United, let's have a meeting.
Yeah.
And you're going to set him off?
No, yeah. Listen, if someone says,
oh,
see that face coming back.
Do you remember? No, United people go, oh, let's have a get together and discuss things. Go, yeah, happy days. You've been hiding for the last 10 years. And then what are you doing? And what are you doing? People go, oh, I don't like these open chats. You called it.
Yeah. It's hard when people don't back you up.
Mick McCarthy standing going, hey, can I just pull a player up here in front of everybody? Going, yeah, fire away, Mick. This will be good. You better be ready.
Yeah.
If you want the full story, it's still available.
It's available in all good shops.
Can you buy it?
That's a really good advert for it.
That's your award.
Right, where we at?
Oh, jeez. Is there any more?
And also,
there's a couple of things I want to say with regards to Saipan and Roy Keane and this whole particular situation. So this happened in 2002. Now, hindsight is always brilliant. Obviously, we're all geniuses once we've got the ability to have hindsight in our back pockets. But looking back, during that time, around between 98 and 2002, there was quite a big shift in English football. So in the early to mid 90s, English football was still quite behind the times. It was probably the fourth best league in the world. It wasn't the most professional league in the world. Not to say that they weren't professional footballers, obviously, but they weren't elite level professional footballers like they were in Italy. And it was because of Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger that those two teams, well, I say Arsene Wenger, it was United really. United were dominating, and that's because they used to send Brian Kidd to go and watch like Juventus train and learn from all the teams on the continent to give Man United the competitive edge in the Premier League and in Europe as well. And because of that was a big reason why United dominated. Arsene Wenger obviously brought a continental sort of professionalism to the league as well. So if you were playing for Man United and Arsenal, you weren't really playing for an English club anymore. You were not in sort of the traditional sense where you'd be going out and you'd be getting on the drink and you'd be partying, You were an absolute professional athlete. You weren't just a footballer, you were a professional athlete. So when you played for United back then, you were an elite level player and an elite level athlete. So you were used to a certain standard. And the transition came between about 98 and 2002, I would say. And then after that, that's when all the rest of the teams started to catch up to try and remain competitive with those guys. And then eventually Chelsea would adopt a more professional continental approach. Obviously Man City would as well, and so on and so forth. And then Liverpool obviously as well with Jurgen Klopp, and so on and so forth. So when Roy Keane is going into that Irish team, you've got this professional athlete basically going back in time to an early 90s football team whenever he went away with Republic of Ireland, because the Republic of Ireland were never sort of aiming to win the World Cup like England were, which is what Gary alludes to here. Like the FA invested a lot into the infrastructure for the England football team at the time because they were all elite level athletes, even though they did perform poorly in relatively speaking in those tournaments. But the Irish didn't have that level of expectation, and they didn't have many world-class players. I mean, did they have one, which would have been Roy at the time in 2002? They had a lot of good players, but they didn't have any world-class, like elite level players that could go into any team on the continent, whether it be AC Milan, Juventus, Real Madrid or Barcelona, Roy Keane was that player. So when he's at United and he's the standard bearer at Manchester United for professionalism and athleticism and all of that good stuff, and then he goes to basically a pub team, of course he's going to be frustrated. And Mick McCarthy was never an elite level manager either. So he's going to be looking at Roy Keane and thinking, Roy, just chill out, mate. Whereas Roy Keane is going into the World Cup, deluded as though it may be, wanting to win the World Cup, or at the very least aiming to win the World Cup. And Ireland did quite well in that 2002 tournament. I'm not sure if they got to the quarterfinals or not, but they did play quite well, relatively speaking. But if they'd had Roy Keane in the team and he didn't get kicked out of the national set up, then they might have got to the semis. Who knows? Who knows? But the point being is there was a big transition, and Ireland were not quite ready in that transitional sort of journey, and compared to like say Manchester United or Arsenal or Chelsea or any of those guys. So it was like, I don't know, it was like placing a Ferrari in a mini race, you know. But unfortunately, the mini race track is just all potholy, so it's going to affect the performance of the Ferrari, you know. And you don't want to do that. You want to have the best possible environment for your Ferrari to flourish. But unfortunately, Ireland were in a mini race and not a Ferrari race, whereas Roy Keane was in a Ferrari race and not a mini race. So that's that particular situation. It's a difficult one in terms of how Roy Keane could have handled that. I mean, I wasn't there. I will watch the film, obviously. I remember reading about it. I kind of erred on the side of Roy Keane because you're going to want the best, especially when you're used to the best, and especially when you want to give the best. And if people like Mick McCarthy are not sort of on board with that, then I'd probably lose my rag a little bit myself. But I don't know, maybe at some point you maybe got to realise that you're kind of pissing against the wind, so to speak. Oh, Big D swore there a little bit. Please forgive the Big D. But it maybe just gets to the point where, right, well, I've said my piece. These are the standards that I think should the team should have, and that's that. And then eventually get on with it. But maybe Mick McCarthy just sort of poured fuel onto the fire. Who knows? Who knows? Whereas a better manager like Alex Ferguson, for instance, maybe would have just sort of, I don't know, appeased the situation, particularly with a player like Roy Keane. And now I know he didn't appease the situation necessarily 3 years later, but that was only because Roy Keane was a spent force at that point. But if Roy Keane in 2005 was still the Roy Keane of 1999, Roy Keane wouldn't have been leaving Manchester United in 2005. Ferguson would have found a way to have appeased him and kept the team together and drove the team forward. But hey ho, what do you guys think? Did Roy Keane overreact? Are you on Roy's side, Mick McCarthy's side? Or what? Thoughts in the comments, and the Big D will see you in the next one.